Hey, Collateral Cinema listeners, Chazzle Dazzle here from the Trial by Air Variety Show podcast. Just taking a few seconds to invite you guys over to what we do. Much like Collateral Cinema, we are a grassroots podcast. We invite bands from all over the world to come in and we dig deep into their souls and find really cool stories to tell you, and there's tons of music every week, so subscribe to us wherever you subscribe to your podcast. We look forward to having you.
Tonight on The Director's Cut, we're talking Friday the 13th, one of the all-time classic slasher movie franchises. So stay tuned. The show starts right now. Welcome to Collateral Cinema Director's Cut. I'm Beau Maddox.
I'm Robert Ortegon.
And we are podcasting straight from somewhere in South Texas. And yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast. So whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it. And ladies and gentlemen, we are weathering the storm right now. Right, Robert?
Oh, yeah. Trying to get through it if we can. I don't know.
Yeah, we're kind of in the middle of some severe weather, I guess. It's kind of passed over for the most part.
Yeah, tornado, flash flood warnings everywhere, right?
Yeah, but here we are on the mic, podcasting, doing the damn thing, right? On a Collateral Cinema Director's Cut.
During the COVID-19, we have to still.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're still essential somewhat.
Oh, we're very essential. Are you kidding me?
We have to be.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we are actually doing something a little different on the show again. We are going to do a full franchise deep dive analysis for one of our all-time favorites when it comes to the slasher horror genre. And that is, of course, the immortal Friday the 13th. Robert, this is a series that means a lot to you, right?
Yes, it does. Ever since Blockbuster was a thing, you know?
Oh, man. I remember seeing all the Friday the 13th boxes on the horror sections at Hollywood Video or Blockbuster Video.
That was the first thing you did. You went to the horror section, right? I did the same thing.
And that's pretty much the same with any video store, be it one of the old chainy rental shops like Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, or the little mom and pop places like my little place was Latest and Greatest Video in San Antonio. That's what my parents and I would go to whenever we would go and have a weekend at my grandmother and my grandfather's house.
Rentals was a thing. Get your popcorn, get your game, get your whatever movies you're gonna rent.
Oh yeah, and you know that we had to get a game as well. I mean, that was just tradition.
New Xbox games were like a big thing back then, right?
Well, in my time, it was Super Nintendo and Nintendo games, of course. I remember having to rent a console at one time.
Yeah, I think I did that with an Xbox at a Blockbuster. It was probably over the new Spider-Man game that was the Tobey Maguire one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But anyway, tangent over. Let's get into Friday the 13th. How about that, Robert?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
All right. The very first movie, the one that started it all, is quite possibly the one movie out of the series that is very much the odd man out. Like starting out, right?
Yeah. I mean, the first Friday the 13th. Do we want to go in that? Because that sets the standard.
Yeah, that's what we're going into right now.
That's set the standard for the slasher genre for the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, Halloween did come before it, and there's quite a few tropes that were actually established via that movie, but
yeah, it was.
This series pretty much sets its own standard when it comes to tropes, right?
Yeah, because it practically came out every year. There was a Jason movie every year, right? In the 80s.
Yeah, especially during the 80s. And I mean, a lot of the tropes that we see in slasher movies that came after this, they were pretty much set here. Like, for instance, you had the Crazy Ralph character, the kooky old man who's the doomsayer. That's kind of a trope that has been repeated in other movies.
We'll call him Dave too.
If we can. That's after one of our coworkers. He's there's
a Dave in every Friday the 13th.
Yeah, he's a character, and he could definitely play a Crazy Ralph. That's like one of my favorite parts of the movie, really, is Crazy Ralph. I mean, the first moment you see him, he's just like, it's called a death curse. You're all doomed. Doomed.
Senile old man, dude. That's funny.
I mean, he kind of plays it like an old school sci-fi character or old school horror character, right?
Yeah. Going back to the early 60s, probably was Psycho or something.
Yeah. I mean, we start with a young girl hitchhiking. She goes into town, and when she brings up Crystal Lake, everybody's just really abrasive towards her.
Yeah.
And then she ends up being the first victim, unfortunately.
Did you see that when she walked into the diner, they were all looking at her like, do you know where Camp Crystal Lake is? Looking at her like Children of the Corn. Like,
yeah, you want to go there? What the fuck?
Like, why do you want to go there? It's got a death curse.
Yeah, and that's where we first see Crazy Ralph, right?
Yeah. Doesn't he like pop out of the cabin or something? And he pops out of the pantry, and then he scares the shit out of the counselors, right? Or something.
Yeah, but the first time that you see him is whenever that trucker is going to give that girl, the first victim, the ride to Crystal Lake.
He's in town riding his bike. Exactly.
Yeah, man. It's like, and Dave totally fits that character.
That is Dave. Dave is that character.
I don't know if Dave will ever listen to this, but hey, Dave, we love you, man.
Dave,
you are totally Crazy Ralph, man.
We need you. Everybody needs somebody like you, though.
Everybody needs a Crazy Ralph in their life.
I mean, that's the star. Intruders, I mean, that was great.
Yeah, but then we get to the actual camp, and we're introduced pretty much to the entirety of the cast right then and there, including the final girl, Adrienne King's character, Alice, right?
Yeah, and she would go on into the beginning of part 2, which didn't last really.
And is it just me, or does Alice and Steve Christie seem to have a little bit of history together?
Huh.
I mean, you think that maybe they were kind of sleeping together?
It actually put off that vibe. Maybe it was just like a fling or something.
Either that, or he's just being a fucking creepler.
With short shorts and
no shirt on.
A porn stash, John Holmes style, you know.
and he's just got his chest and everything all just hanging out there and whatnot.
It's like, I got my short shorts cut to where my ball sack are.
It's like, 1979 was an interesting time, wasn't it?
Crop tops, yeah.
Oh my Lord. And
I wasn't there, so I wouldn't know.
Now, what do you think of the kills in this movie?
I wish I had my little pamphlet. We can read that, go off the kill count.
Oh, that's right. You have the box set that has all the stats for the movies.
Yeah, dude, that is great.
Yeah, that's really cool. And the body count that they put in there is pretty interesting. I like that feature.
That little pamphlet book I got with all 8 discs is pretty cool, actually.
It is.
It shows a history, it shows a budget, it shows a kill count, it shows the weapons, and,
Yeah, you're right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting breakdown. But back to this movie right here. I mean, the kills were pretty interesting, if a little edited down, because at the time the MPAA really was coming down hard on horror movies.
They did that. So a lot of this original footage is lost or it was cut. Yeah.
Actually, they released the uncut version. That's what I have on DVD.
Oh, really? You do have that.
Yeah. I have the full uncut version. I think that you have the regular version on your box set, right?
I think it's the regular version. Yours is an uncut. Yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely lingers on a lot of the gore and a lot of the deaths and everything. Yeah, and of course, Tom Savini did the gore effects. I think he's pretty much done the gore effects for all the Friday the 13th movies up to a certain point, right?
Man, it's brilliant. It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, sheer brilliance, man.
I think we were talking about it all the way up to the final chapter, right? All the gore effects and watching the behind the scenes special features, right?
Yeah, that was actually fun to do since I finally got a DVD player with a remote.
Yeah. Yeah, thank for that.
Yeah, and I mean, we were watching the final chapter, though. I haven't really gotten into the special features on the Friday the 13th DVD, but I really like a lot of the characters in this movie. Like, probably more so than any other Friday the 13th, maybe say for Jason Takes Manhattan, which, you know, spoiler alert, is like my all-time favorite Friday the 13th movie.
Hands down, for some people. It had a high budget. And
Yeah.
You know what? It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, I mean, Friday the 13th, the original, it doesn't have a really great audience review on Rotten Tomatoes, and the critics' reviews are kind of low as well.
It's got a major star, though. Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon started in this movie. This is his first movie of his career, right?
I think he was in Animal House before the...
Oh, he was?
I saw him there.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, isn't that kind of interesting since, you know, like Johnny Depp, he got his start on Nightmare on Elm Street. Jennifer Aniston's first real role was...
Leprechaun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Came out of a show before that in the 80s.
And how do you think Kevin Bacon fares as an actor in this movie?
You know, he really didn't get his rise to fame until Footloose. But,
Yeah.
you know, going in as an actor, I mean, this budget had, like, what, 200,000 maybe?
Something like that. I mean...
No, 500,000, something like that, right?
$500,000. I mean...
Yeah.
Paltry amount back then. Nowadays, it would be closer to like $1 million, 1.2 million or something like that.
At least give somebody $1 million. They could do something with it, you know?
Yeah.
But
And Sean S. Cunningham, he did a lot with this first movie.
made it work.
He really made it work. And of course, there's the all-time classic spoiler that everyone knows by now, but it was referenced in Scream, and that's the killer is actually Pamela Voorhees.
Pamela Voorhees. It was
Yeah.
Jason. It was Jason.
No, it was Pamela Voorhees,
it was
bro.
Jason. I saw that movie.
Drew Barrymore. Oh my God.
That is a trick question.
It is,
If
but-
you really didn't see the first one, you just assume Jason's the killer the whole time. You're gonna get it wrong.
But it's one of those things that by now it's kind of known pretty much by cultural osmosis by this point.
I think that trick question still holds up. Who was the killer on the Friday the 13th, right?
I think it's by this point a little
You should
bit
know
of
that. A real horror fan would know that.
yeah, but it's also kind of a cliche thing to bring up now.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, I mean, everybody kind of knows this.
Dakota Nash don't. Zoomers don't know.
Zoomers don't know.
Zoomers don't know anything
Damn Zoomers.
except fork knife.
Oh my God, the fork knife.
Fork knife and Apex. I don't know.
But Robert, just overall, what do you think of the first movie?
You know, it set the tone for newcomers, indies. The film just, you know, it started the whole thing, right? Damn.
Yeah,
For,
totally.
like, Slumber Party. What is it? When a Stranger Calls. What else? Even Wes Craven coming out of the 70s with, what was that?
Last House on the Left?
Yeah, and Hills of Eyes. And then he
Yeah.
goes into Freddy and makes it his slasher. It's like, dude, yeah, the 80s were great. I mean, damn.
Yeah, for sure. And I honestly have a real soft spot for the first movie. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and it's one of the first actual horror movies that I ever watched that was full-on R-rated when I was a kid. So
You know,
there's that.
You know, I watched these out of order, actually. I didn't see the first one first time.
Oh, I see. I see.
I think I saw part 2 more than anything, you know?
Yeah, and speaking of part 2, let's go ahead and move on to that.
Let's move on to part 2.
Like,
Let's do it.
I mean, we all know how Friday the 13th ends. Adrienne King's character, Alice, she manages to defeat Pamela Voorhees, decapitating her, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, if you hadn't seen it already.
And she goes out into that rowboat, drifts for a little while, and then when it looks like everything is hunky-dory, Jason himself just jumps out of the water, grabs her, and pulls her in, and then she wakes up.
See, the Jason from 1958 popped out. That's
Yeah.
funny. It's 1979 at least, right?
Right, right.
That's funny. What is that? Hallucinating?
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Because that was the kid Jason.
I like to think that maybe it was some kind of hallucination,
It's
but
a hallucination, dude. What is that?
it pretty much goes straight into the second movie with Alice. She's home and she's recovering from the trauma of what she experienced, and somehow Jason manages to find her. And it's actually a very memorable kill, I think.
Yeah, how did he find her? What is he, a Terminator? Phone book killer? How did he know where to find her?
That's a good question. That's why I fully adhere to the canon that Jason Voorhees can teleport.
Teleportation.
Even back then when he was just a regular dude, it's like he had some kind of powers.
So, Michael Myers.
I know that sounds incredibly dumb, but in my head, I don't know. That just makes the most sense.
No, you're on to something there. Because Michael Myers walks and he still can get ahead.
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, I mean, this is the first time we see Jason. He's not necessarily an undead character at this point. He
didn't really drown then. Maybe how did he get washed? He got washed up, then just surviving on his own. You know?
Yeah, it's something that's never really adequately explained.
Maybe the current took him under and washed him ashore. He didn't really drown. You know?
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, that's a huge. I don't know if it's a plot hole or not, but
he didn't die.
I mean, here we are having to speculate as to how the fuck Jason managed to survive and grow up in the woods, and
exactly.
And also was aware enough of what his mom was doing to, want revenge.
Seeking revenge. It's been at least 20 years. She sought revenge as soon as the camp opened, right?
Yeah, but I mean, she's dead, and Jason has her head in a shrine at his little shed that he's living out of.
You know what I like? I like how these movies pick up from the original ending, like right after the other.
Yeah, pretty much all the movies do that, right?
Yeah, they do that, so you don't forget what happens. It's like a cliffhanger leading up to the final moment, right?
Yeah, it at least attempts to set up some type of continuity.
Yeah.
And I think it does so rather well in the second movie. And the Jason we have here, he's younger, he has long hair, he's deformed, but he's not zombified.
He's got a potato sack over his head.
Yeah, he's got a potato sack over his head, which is
with overalls and flannel. Right?
Yeah, which, I don't know, is that maybe a reference to The Town That Dreaded Sundown?
That's what I thought, dude. Yeah, I'm glad you said that.
I mean, which movie came out first?
The Town That Dreaded Sundown. That came out in the 70s, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it probably would have come out before then.
And then The Bay of Blood. Remember, we referenced that because of the kills in part 2 where, like,
that's
a lot like Bay of Blood.
Yeah, of course we're talking about Mario Bava's all-time classic, I guess it's a giallo, I don't know, Bay of Blood.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of scenes, especially kill scenes, that are pretty much lifted straight from that movie.
I'm going to go back and watch that. They have the Blu-ray version. Maybe we can get that on, what is it, eBay? Sorry.
Maybe we can find it on eBay.
Yeah, eBay, get anything on eBay or Amazon Prime. Yeah,
always, of course. And the kills in this movie were just as imaginative, I think. If a bit straightforward.
Yeah, because remember, this is the first time you do see Jason and not his mother. So
yeah. And in this particular scenario in this movie, are they necessarily at Camp Crystal Lake here? I don't entirely remember.
I think it's the same lake, but different campgrounds. Remember they talk about a camp over?
Yeah.
That killings happened, and then, yeah, it's the same lake, but different campgrounds, even the reboot, right?
Yeah,
with Jared Padalecki. It's the same lake. But that's somehow, weird. With Jason Takes Manhattan, it connects to the ocean, right? That's what's funny.
Yeah, that's something that we'll discuss in the next episode when we get to Jason Takes Manhattan.
We'll get there.
Yeah, but in this scenario, it's a bunch of counselors, I guess, and they're living in a guest house. I mean, I take it, of some type, right?
Yeah, you know what? They really don't actually reopen enough to where the kids come in. I mean, Jason just kills them right the first 2 nights, right? Or something.
Yeah, they're literally not even there, like,
long
24
enough.
Hours.
They're not there long enough to even open, or prepare to open. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how the fuck they could actually think they could get away with opening it after another massacre happened at another camp. at Camp Crystal Lake.
But they just keep doing it, though. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand that. That's actually something that's kind of comical about the actual setting of this movie and the movies that come after this. It's like, I mean, how many times are they going to try to fuck with Camp Crystal Lake?
Maybe until it dries up. I don't know. What are they going to do?
Yeah, who fucking knows?
Who knows, man?
But yeah, all these cancelers, they get together, they have lots of sex, smokes lots of weed.
He smells that. He smells premarital sex before it even happens.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
He can smell the sex in the air. He can smell weed. I don't know. This guy's got powers.
And I really do like the ending here because it kind of has a little bit of a parallel to the end because Jason just comes out of nowhere and just grabs the main final girl.
Right through the window with the machete still in his shoulder, I believe, right?
Yeah. And it kind of has a similar fade out to the aftermath, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Like she's being wheeled out on a stretcher and she's just like, "Where's Paul?
Where's Paul?"
I mean, we're to assume that Paul was killed when Jason busted through the window and everything after grabbing the final girl. I don't remember her name.
Yeah, it leaves with Jason just like going on a part 3 and shot in 3D, right? Or something.
Yeah. So anyway,
is Paul dead? He probably.
Yeah, Paul is dead, and you want to know who else dies in this movie? Unfortunately,
the dog. No.
No, the dog didn't die.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. I'm talking about Crazy Ralph.
Crazy Ralph.
It's like, oh no. It's like, Dave, no.
I think he was the first one in the beginning to die, right?
Yeah, near the beginning. I mean, he still played his role and everything, and he, warned them about the death curse, but
he warned you.
But he didn't take his own advice, and he just went out there to spy on everybody for some reason.
I don't think he knew that Jason was even alive, though,
Oh, but he knew that there was still a death curse there, and that everybody was going to die, and everybody was doomed.
The mother put that curse as soon as the drowning happens in 58, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
So, Robert, what do you think about this movie?
I think it still holds up to date, man. It's just fun watching them all in order, and just... you can have a watch party with every one of them and just have a good time,
I mean, I'm talking about this particular movie.
Part two? You know what? I need to watch The Bay of Blood because that's the original. And it is one of my favorites because it is the first one like I've rented from Blockbuster when I first saw it when I was a kid. That and Child's Play,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. The Town That Dreaded Sundown thing, that's pretty creepy because I didn't see the Town That Dreaded Sundown until after I saw Jason. I don't know. Killings in Texas were, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that in this movie that's lifted from other movies, definitely.
It is, dude. I barely noticed it. Like the talk of the campfire scene in the beginning, right? That was like the burning. We went into that, right?
That's totally the burning.
That is the burning.
And that's a very, very effective scene, I think.
I like that, man. They kind of put like 3 movies into one.
And it still comes out as a unique experience.
As its own thing, right, too.
And it introduces Jason perfectly,
yeah.
I think.
Cropsy. No, I'm just kidding.
But on to the third movie, that kind of starts similarly as well. It has a campfire scene, right? And then it also recaps the first 2 movies.
Yeah. See, I love the recaps. If you really didn't know what happened, it just picked you up right where it left off,
And hey, I'm sure that it was a lot cheaper for the filmmakers to actually, go back, just show some recaps from the previous movies and,
So how cheap was Silent Night, Deadly Night 2?
Right? That was mostly fucking recaps.
Dude, that whole thing was a damn recap. Fuck.
Practically.
Damn.
Yeah, but I like the way that they open this movie. I mean, they have the campfire framing and they have the recaps. And Robert, refresh my memory. In this movie, what is the setup? Like, what is the scenario this time?
Remember one of the final girls is trying to get away for the weekend, so she brings all her friends.
Yeah.
And supposedly Jason was stalking her before that, like in the woods somewhere, and then she wakes up in her bed. And then...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Supposedly the final girl in this movie, she encountered Jason years before, and weirdly enough, he kind of looks like an even more deformed and hairless version than what he was in the second movie.
Yeah, exactly. Not the whole lumberjack thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you could call him in part 2, right? Lumberjack Jason?
I look like a lumberjack or Talon Dread Sundown. Jason, we'll go with that.
No, yeah, he's just a lumberjack with the Town That Dreaded Sundown sack over his head.
There we go. Yeah, Scarecrow sack from Batman.
Yeah, but Robert, the kills in this movie, I kind of feel like they were maybe a little more subdued.
Part 3 in 3D. Yeah, see, everything had that 3D thing where it had to pop out of the screen.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, there's that scene where that homeless dude who's playing the crazy Ralph role. I mean, it's pretty much required to have that character in all of these movies.
You need a Dave or a Ralph character. Sorry, Dave.
and there's a lot of scenes in this movie where if you watch it in 2D, it's obvious that it was meant to be 3D and it was meant to really kind of be right in your face and everything.
Yeah.
Like the hot poker.
Stick out the camera, the bat, the axe handle, even the stabbing or the chain going through the Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah.
That was supposed to meant to pop out right at you. Right?
Yeah. Right
and
on.
I don't know if you ever seen this movie in 3D glasses. It's just like getting over the fruit roll-up colors. It's just like really weird, dude.
Yeah. I mean, old school 3D technology is kind of, I don't know. It's primitive, but I mean, it's interesting.
I remember seeing that with like Spy Kids 3 in 3D. But you still
yeah.
That was, I don't know, man. It was, I don't know. Not a big fan of that. I mean, I think new 3D is better now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But what do you think of the story of this movie?
See, it goes back to the final girl recapping why she's there to begin with. I think she's trying to figure out what happened like a summer before that. And yeah, all her friends start dying one by one, right? Even the stoner characters you got.
Yeah. Of those stoner characters, they both have matching bongs and they're smoking in the back of the van.
They're cheesing it up in the 18 van. We'll call that. We need to get one of those.
Yeah, an 18 van, totally.
Put a Collateral Cinema logo on it.
That'll be our Wheels on the Road.
Or the tour van.
That'll be the touring van.
We're tour podcast.
Whenever this COVID-19 crap goes away,
take it on the road.
You know, yeah. But how about the kills in this movie? Like I said earlier, they're a little more subdued. I mean, of course, the MPA was going really, really chop happy with movies like this. I mean, they really hated the Friday the 13th franchise.
Man.
They chopped some of those movies to shit.
Man,
like, seriously.
Wish we can see them in the original cut, though.
Oh, yeah. But the ending of this movie is interesting because the final girl finally realizes that Jason is the man that attacked her all those years ago.
Yeah, as soon as he takes off Shelly's mask, or she hangs him, right?
Yeah.
From the bar. Shelly's mask.
Yeah. I mean, we forgot to bring up Shelly. He's the character that actually gives Jason his
mask,
iconic hockey mask. Yeah. It's like that's actually a pretty important moment in this entire series.
Yeah, he's the Joker who just played the pranks on everybody. Nobody took him serious until, he was finally dead. And, even at that moment, his friends are just like, come on, Shelly, get up. Don't fuck around. That was funny, though, because it looked real enough when he started doing all those pranks.
Oh, definitely.
That's an asshole, dude.
That's total asshole. And he's like wondering why nobody wants to hang around him. It's like, he's part of the group of the friends, but he's obviously the black sheep of the group of friends.
Like, you don't have to do that, man. Everybody likes you. You don't have to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like the character.
I think it's funny. It's childish, and it's trying to recap something, maybe something he lost. I don't know. Yeah,
but that ending, though, it ends in the barn, and she ends up hitting him in the head with an axe, right?
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what does him in?
Right after she hangs him.
And that's right after Jason takes his mask off and leers at her for a little bit like, hey, I remember you.
And then buttercream.
Buttercream. Buttercream gang.
And then puts his mask on and then hits him over the head with the axe. And she goes off into the boat and then kind of picking up from part 1 where the final girl goes in the boat.
Yeah.
Cops coming at the end.
But this time it's not cops coming at the end. Jason looks at her through the window of the main house, and then he comes out. He doesn't have his mask on, and he's just looking at her like, hey, I'm going to come and get you.
Buttercream.
Oh, my God.
I'm just kidding.
And then Pamela Voorhees comes out of the lake.
With so many podcasts out there, shows can get lost in the shuffle. That's why we implore you to check out Too Many Captains. You can find us at amoviepodcast.com.
5 unique takes on Hollywood movies and culture. Find us on Twitter at It's a Film Podcast.
Check our intellectual deep dives into theatrical films. Find us on Instagram at Too Many Captains Productions.
Unique takes on soundtracks. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Too Many Captains Productions.
Find us at amoviepodcast.com on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play.
That's the part where it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a mindfuck because for one, she's not decapitated. She's
just like from the original.
Yeah, it's like, I know that Betsy Palmer was completely fucked, dude.
Yeah, I mean, she died and her head came off.
Yeah, Pamela Voorhees is dead. It's kind of why I can see why the series went in a more supernatural path, you know?
Because right after part 3, we go into the final chapter, and it picks up from all the original kills, all the recaps, like a cliffhanger, I'm saying, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. But Robert, what are your thoughts on this installment in Friday the 13th?
Part 3? Remember that bike gang? And then Shelley just runs over the bike because they're like toughening him up.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts where he just runs over their bikes and takes off.
What an asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, of course he's going to do that to the bikers.
I mean,
right?
That was kind of an accident. He didn't back up into their bikes and then throws down his tall boy and then gets his chain out, dude, and just
he
punches out the window. And it's like, dude.
He tries to fuck them up.
Yeah. And then he just follows them the whole time, takes the gas out. I think they were planning on setting the barn on fire or something. What were they doing with all that gas?
Oh, who fucking knows?
Right?
Yeah, I think they were going to actually
set the barn on fire.
Commit arson. Right? Yeah, they were going to straight commit arson.
They were going to burn that. Yeah. Well, I mean, we didn't get to see that happen because Jason killed them.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, obviously they were there to do some malfeasance.
I think, they're going to burn the bar down.
Anyway, moving on. Part 4.
Final chapter.
The final chapter, which we actually just watched not too long ago.
Yes, we did. We saw the deleted scenes, the uncut scenes, the bloopers.
Yeah. There's some interesting outtakes to this movie.
Corey Feldman.
Yeah, and this is where Tommy Jarvis is introduced.
The Jarvis.
Probably the closest thing to an actual main protagonist that this entire series has.
The only character that you feel for in any way. Yeah.
And he ended up having a trilogy of movies.
At least 3.
That
we know of.
Yeah. It's the Tommy Jarvis trilogy.
We call it that. People should know about that.
And what's cool about it is you can actually kind of jump right into part 4, even though it's supposed to be the final chapter, the definitive death of Jason.
They said that. They said it was going to be the final chapter, but then you had the new beginning. But we won't talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is probably the most enjoyable of the Jarvis trilogy. If not, maybe one of the more enjoyable movies in the entire franchise.
Jason lives where the Jarvis trilogy ends.
Yeah.
I like that. Are we watching that right now?
No, we just watched that. It's on repeat right now.
Oh, we were watching the special features, I guess.
Yeah, we were watching that as well. I really like Corey Feldman's role in this movie. I like his performance. I mean, I like that this kid has like an actual talent for special effects and latex mask making and everything.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, that is really interesting to me. And of course, it was a total shout out to Tom Savini. Like, that's pretty much what he is. He's like a little kid Tom Savini.
No, you're right. With the little puppet he had. What was that? Little animatronic? Dude, that was bad.
It was a literal hand puppet, but a very impressive one.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, very impressive.
Hollywood skills.
Yeah. And the setup for this movie is, we have the Jarvis family. We have Tommy, his sister and his mom.
His mom. I think his mother just recently divorced, right?
Yeah, recently divorced. And they're shown as having a pretty standard home life. Like, the daughter and the mom are very close to each other.
In the country. I mean, where
in the country.
Work? There's no gas stations and no jobs.
Yeah. And next door, that's where a bunch of teenagers.
That's where it happens.
That's where it happens. A bunch of teenagers, including Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover. The big
Crispin
fly.
fucking Glover.
Big fly.
Oh my God. Oh, we've got to bring up his dancing in this movie real quick.
God, that's fucking.
Oh
hilarious.
man, we saw some of the outtakes for this shit, and
it actually went on longer than it was supposed to.
I don't know if what he was doing was moshing or if he was trying to freestyle or something like that.
What is that? They did a dance like that in what was it? Hallowed House on Highway 5, right?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
It was a weird dance, man. Like coming out of the 70s and into the 80s. I don't know. What was that?
This was roughly mid 80s, I believe.
Yeah, Final Chapters was mid 80s.
It's very mid 80s. And instead of having Camp Crystal Lake as a focal point here,
I think it is Camp Crystal Lake.
Is it?
Yeah, it's all the same camp.
Is it really the same camp?
Yeah, but they end up hiking. The bunch of friends, and then they go swimming in the lake. They get all naked. Remember that? That's the same lake.
Yeah, but I don't think that this actually happens at the camp, right?
No camp. Just
it's
house, two houses.
Yeah,
like
it's next door to the Jarvis house.
On
pretty
the
much.
same lake.
On the same lake.
Yeah.
And Tommy Jarvis, he's always catching a little bit of a view of some naked women all the time. Like there's that scene where they're all skinny dipping, and he's just coming up on them and spying on them. He's just like, whoa, naked people.
Whoa.
It's like, whoa, there's boobies.
Boobies. Boobies.
Yeah, and there's that scene where he is just straight up spying on those, on that couple having sex and everything. Or like,
it's right out his window. That's hilarious. And his mom comes in.
Mom comes in and pretty much notices right away.
It's like, what is he doing? Getting a little hard on, little half chub.
This little fucker.
What is he doing?
It's like, what are you doing, Feldman?
What are you doing?
What the fuck are you doing? What do you think about the kills and the effects work in this movie?
Oh man, it was a masterpiece, dude. Just setting up for those entire scenes took.
They have a scene that I think is kind of reminiscent of the shower murder and sleepaway camp, where he's backed up against the movie screen and Jason straight up stabs him from behind straight through the screen.
Goes all the way down the screen.
Goes all the way down.
Watching all that pervert stuff on the screen.
Oh yeah, he finds those old like 1920 stag films or whatever.
Stag films, dude. Black and whites, dude.
And of course they're nothing like too incredibly like pornographic, of course. It's
just topless.
Yeah, it's literally just like a nudie topless thing with 1920s women,
with no sound, just
no sound whatsoever,
real to real.
And that one obnoxious dude, Crispin Glover's friend, Ted, I think his name is, he's just sitting there stewing over the fact that he just couldn't get any right.
Struck out. I mean,
struck out every time.
Didn't have what it took, I guess. Just being all weird,
But I mean, what's the most memorable kill from this movie?
Probably either the cleaver scene with Crispin Glover, actually the same time, where he stabs him with a corkscrew and then he hits him with a cleaver.
Yeah.
That said it, I think, for me.
Straight up.
And then when they spiked him to the outside of the doorway.
Yeah. And is this the movie where Jason is taken to the morgue and then he kills the that one dude who's trying to get laid by that one nurse?
Yeah, see, that is memorable because he's watching all that workout stuff.
That workout video. What the fuck is that?
That's a real thing.
Yeah, it's an actual workout video.
Yeah, You can find that.
But what are those women doing around in a circle, like humping their butts up and down? What the fuck are they doing? How is that aerobics?
Jazzercise aerobics.
What is aerobic, or what is exercise about that? Like, what the fuck?
Pelvic thruster. I don't know.
And of course, I mean, he's trying to watch this while getting it on with this chick who's, I don't understand.
She's
her.
trying to watch the news. There's a killer behind him, and he's wanting to get his rocks off. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But I mean, he gets dispatched with a bone saw.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes too.
Yeah.
Right when they bone saw him, and then they turn his head around and just completely break it off, you know?
Yeah, that was an interesting effect. And then we saw some actual behind the scenes footage of those.
We saw the takes on that, and amazing work though.
Yeah, it really was. But I mean, Robert, as far as the story of this movie is concerned, what do you think?
Oh man, the story with the family next door and the kids coming out for the weekend getting slaughtered. I mean, I think the final chapter stands on its own. I mean, I think you can, but you know what? You can make a film sort of just like the final chapter and it still hold up.
Yeah.
Just call it its own thing. Maybe.
And also, you know, that ending is pretty badass.
It is badass with the machete to the head, and then it just goes down, and then Tommy Jarvis is just hacking him up because he still sees him moving, you know?
And this is the final scene, just Tommy looking at the camera, looking like he might be the next Jason.
Exactly.
And that leads into the...
You know what else had an ending like that? The Child's Play. At the end of Child's Play, remember Andy Barclay's like looking?
Yeah, you're right.
That's weird. I don't know. Was that a thing?
I don't know, dude.
80s?
But let's go ahead and wrap things up with the fifth movie. Robert, this is kind of an odd one to me.
The New Beginning.
The New Beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really odd to me because, I mean, you have Tommy Jarvis in it. This is the second movie in the Jarvis trilogy, but he's not really in this movie that much.
He's goes to that little hospital, right? Or
it's a group home.
A group home. There you go.
Yeah.
And he's still traumatized from what Jason did to his family. You know how he tore him apart, and
yeah, he's having lots of hallucinations.
Yeah, he's having flashbacks. He's having hallucinations.
Yeah, he's obviously fucked, but he actually takes a back seat to the rest of the kids in this group home, I think. Like, there's that one dude that likes to just walk up and offer a chocolate bar to people, and that ultimately leads to his demise when he walks up to the wrong motherfucker at this group home, tries to give him this chocolate bar, and this dude has obviously got some fucking rage issues and everything. And
chopping wood with an axe, just like stay away from him. Dude.
And he ends up killing this kid, just chopping him up in the back. And it's jarring because this is the first time in this franchise that we saw somebody other than Jason killing another person.
Well, if you didn't know the ending to this movie, then it's a copycat. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. It's a copycat. It's actually one of the EMS dudes.
His father.
That's his father. And it's, I don't know, that kind of came out of nowhere to me. I'm just like, huh?
I mean, the whole time, when all the killings happen, all the elaborate killings, and right up to the final moment to where they kill off the killer, and the whole time you think it's Jason, dude. When I was a kid, it was one of my favorites. It still holds up as one of my favorites. The New Beginning, God, I think he killed them more times than Jason, at least over 21 kills, right?
Yeah, this actually has a really high body count.
It does. This copycat did more killings than actual Jason did.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck, man? It's like, what happened to you? I mean, I understand you lost your son, but shit.
Badass.
It's like, why did everybody else have to die? I mean, he pretty much took care of the person that killed his son, right?
I think they took him off to jail, right?
Yeah, they took him to jail. You're right.
The father goes off on a spree, right? Killing everybody, avenging his son, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting angle on Jason and his lore, you know, like actually removing Jason Voorhees from the movie.
From the equation. Because he's dead. Tommy Jarvis had killed him. He put him in his grave, right? And we don't see that until after the New Beginning. And we'll go into that in part 2 of Director's Cut of Friday the 13th. So keep watching us.
So real quick, what do you think of the kills and the special effects in this movie?
They were a labyrinth. I mean, there was a belt scene with the eyes. There was a hedge clipper scene, like the burning.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what did he stick a road flare in this dude's mouth? Dude,
Oh, that was
fucking
hilarious.
badass, dude. That was cool.
That was fucking hilarious, man.
Damn. What else did he do?
Oh, shit.
Just,
I
like,
don't entirely
Strangled
remember
a
some-
girl. Just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like he had more power than Jason. I don't know.
Yeah, he killed that one girl in her room while she's doing that weird robot dancing
Real-
to the 80s pop.
Yeah, 80s pop, robot dancing, dude.
It's like, well, what the fuck is she even into there? Like, what would that be considered? Like, it's not goth.
No, what is it?
I think she's kind of gothy, but
Yeah, goth before goth. I don't know.
yeah.
She invented goth.
But, I mean, special effects in this movie, not really a whole lot to really talk about. I mean, this was another one of those Friday the 13th movies that was really, really chopped up by the MPAA, so a lot of the gore is almost non-existent.
Nah,
Like,
cut away all the good shit. You know, it takes a lot to do that. Why do they cut it all away?
I know, it's so much work just put to waste.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the way that I see it.
Fuck all that.
But yeah, fuck the MPAA anyways. Bunch of puritanical bastards. Fuck them. But I mean, even though the gore is
Tommy
a little-
Jarvis is karate. He all of a sudden karate came out of nowhere. What did he take karate classes, dude?
Yeah, you're right. He
Remember?
goes full Jason Bourne on people.
He's
doesn't
fucking whipping people's ass. Yeah.
Yeah, where the fuck did he learn that shit?
Yeah, Jason Bourne, Chuck Norris, whatever, dude. It's Cobra Kai in it. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you think of the story here? I feel that story-wise, I mean, it's got an interesting angle to it. It's at least trying to do something different.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you got to give this movie credit for that.
yeah. I mean, as far as anybody knew, the final chapter was going to be the last Jason movie. But
And it would have been interesting if they would have used the copycat angle to kind of branch off into different territories, maybe branch away from Jason a little bit, a la Halloween 3, kind of.
kind of its own thing with Halloween 3, but still John Carpenter's story, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they really could have taken the franchise to some new places had they have, kept Jason dead after this.
They could have. And then he resurrects him in Jason Lives.
Yeah. And in the end, how is the Jason copycat dispatched?
Right at the end, right? Where the machete fight at the end, where
Yeah.
Tommy Jarvis pops up at the end. It's a rainstorm.
Yeah, he practically hulks out and just fucks him up.
Yeah. Tommy Jarvis is trying to remember. I don't know if Jason remembers him, right? They just look at each other for a second and he's flipping out. Jarvis.
Yeah.
It leads to a scuffle.
and at the end of this movie, you have another allusion towards Jarvis maybe becoming the next Jason copycat.
Exactly.
And that's probably where they would have taken it, honestly.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Like Jason or Jarvis being another copycat of Jason or something, right?
And that's interesting because they could have actually...
They could have gone in that angle.
They could have actually shown how Jarvis would eventually break down and just become Jason. Like
become another copycat, right?
Yeah, I mean...
Exactly, dude. Yeah.
By that point, they wouldn't even need to be ambiguous about it.
That is badass. When you think of it that way, yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting to think about what might have been here had they have just kept Jason in the grave.
Yeah.
Because the final chapter, they did give Jason a pretty definitive death. They were even saying that, the screenplay writer, the person who wrote the script and everything, he was like, we really needed to use very definitive language here.
Exactly.
Very definitive grammar to say that Jason is absolutely fucking dead.
They wrote the final chapter like it was going
Yeah.
to be the last one in the franchise.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
And then this movie they were trying to take it in a different way while still having Jason in the movie.
Yeah.
Well,
which is cool. It stands on its own. I mean, some people don't like it, but
yeah.
I'll always like it, man. It's cool as hell,
It's an interesting movie.
Yeah.
Not my favorite of the Jarvis trilogy, but it's interesting.
times before, you have felt the terror, known the madness, lived the horror. But this is the one you've been screaming for. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Jason is back. He moves like a shadow, dark and silent.
Sorry you changed your mind?
He never utters a word. He doesn't even seem to breathe.
Where the hell's the corkscrew?
He simply, mindlessly, mercilessly kills. But now, Jason's reign of terror is over. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Jason's unlucky day.
But we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. I mean, what are your final thoughts on this movie, Jason Lives?
We're in the new beginning.
Oh, new
right?
beginning. Oh,
we'll
fuck
talk
me.
about that. We'll pick up on part 2, Jason Lives. And we'll get into that.
Yeah. I'm mistaken. God damn it. It's too late.
The
It's
third Jarvis one. We'll get into that.
Yeah, the third Jarvis one. That'll be a lot of fun.
So the new beginning, you either love it or hate it. And, I still like it for what it is, a copycat murderer. And
Yeah, it's
using
it's
the
very
whole
interesting.
Jason thing. And it's still scary as shit, I mean, you don't know it's not Jason until that final moment.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting how they led up to that moment.
It's still a psychopathic killer. I mean,
Yeah, and he's still using Jason's MO and everything.
He's still
So, I
using
mean,
the
it
MO.
still fits. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. You can find Collateral Cinema and Collateral Cinema Director's Cut on Podbean, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Chill Lover Radio, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and wherever else you get your podcasts. We are also on Patreon and Podchaser. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Podchaser so that we can climb up the ranks a little bit.
do it.
Do it. And yeah, check out our full-length commentaries on Patreon. They start at $1. That's the first tier. that we have.
Donate, you cheap bastards. Donate.
Yeah.
Please, donate.
It's just $1. Come on now. It starts at $1, and if you want to give us more, you're more than welcome to.
Please. And you know what? Send us your film so we can review it.
Oh yes, if
Do it.
you're a filmmaker and you have a movie, send it to us, and we will review it on the director's cut.
We don't care. Podcasters, filmmakers, do it.
Straight up. And you can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close things out. I'm Beau Maddox,
I'm Robert Ortegon.
and this was Collateral Cinema Director's Cut. Part 2 of our Friday the 13th exploration will be coming after our next Collateral Cinema episode, which is Perfect Blue by Satoshi Kon, and that's going to be really interesting. So stay tuned, and we will see you later.
Bye. Part 2.
Collateral Cinema is an L Company production. All music and movie clips are owned by the respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.